up, though? And welcome back to I'm Growing Man. It's your man John D in the building. Uh Hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. This wonderful weekend. I just happened to get on one of the social media platforms and I saw a post from a friend of mine who said, in order to be in a successful relationship, men have to be whipped or sprung. And instead of sitting on it, I decided I want to get on here and talk about it. But before I just kind of want to give how the order came about. So I wanted to ask what was whipped or sprung because I wanted to be upfront as possible, but I didn't even give him a chance to respond. So I'm on here because I can tell you what I thought about that at one point, and I thought that was true. You had to be whipped or sprung to be in a successful marriage. And you know, when I thought about successful marriage, I meant that it was hit on all the chords. Both people are happy with each other's company and all of this. And as crazy as it sounds, it's like I didn't even know if it was possible for real because I thought, how long does whipped and sprung last? Being sprung last. And I've seen a lot of relationships just fall to the wayside because of false expectations and not really knowing what it takes to be in a successful relationship. But with this post, it insinuated that the only way a relationship could be successful is if a man is whipped and or sprung. And I thought like that. But now I don't think I'm whipped or sprung. And I believe my marriage is on a scale of 1 to 10 and successful, a 10, without a doubt. Like, it's always room for improvement, but we've created boundaries and rules and parameters just in case we get to a place in our journey where we haven't discussed it before and it's new information. So we have like these things set up just in case, you know, some childhood trauma comes out of nowhere, to know that, you know, it wasn't you. It was something that's unsettled and it was the first time, or I've never dealt with this before. But when I tell you, like, when you know how to play a game, it's really difficult to not be good at it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, my wife and I, we practice our relationship every single day to some degree, on purpose, intentional, whatever you want to call it. But it's so on purpose that it has changed the way that we communicate with each other. And that's what I want to say. I'm not sprung and I'm not whipped. That phase, that was gone in the very beginning, you know? And I don't even think I was ever whipped or sprung. I dug her a lot, but whipped and sprung, if I looked at it, if I was thinking on the levels of it, I wasn't. She and I had great conversations and we were cool. And then our relationship developed over a short period of time. And then we were lifing together for real. And this is the time where I would have thought in my mind, like, in order to be in a successful relationship, a man has to be sprung or whipped. And I will say, when I say during that time, I wasn't unhappy. I just thought that the relationship could be better, but it would look differently. So it was just me looking from a selfish standpoint, like, I'd probably be happier if this happened, I would be happier, or we would be happier. But it was more so like what was going to stimulate my idea of what happiness is supposed to look like. So as I've matured into this man I've become, I realized I just didn't understand the rules of engagement. And most people don't. You know, the mating game is crazy if you're not intentional, because you could end up with somebody that was only skin deep. You know, everybody's meant for somebody. And a lot of times the outside can trick somebody to getting an opportunity to live somewhere else. I don't want to get into that. If you got it, you got it. But just thinking about how my wife and I have matured into this idea of a successful marriage. Like this is what's so cold about our marriage, that we know that it's only gonna get better. And like our baseline is successful. The baseline of our marriage is successful. Imagine that. The baseline of the marriage is successful, and you're so intentional that you're moving that it just keeps getting better and better. Like I said, I'm being completely transparent. I'm not whipped or sprung. I do enjoy her company, but I don't have to be around her all the time. Nowhere near it. You know what I'm saying? But I enjoy her company enough that it doesn't make me feel like that feeling of whipped or sprung, because I remember this idea when I was younger, that person that made you like, you enjoy being around them, and you was like, I'm doing this. And it was like, so won't you consider this? He was like, you considering it and your change plans? You know what I'm saying? Like that to me was more so like where you're willing to just drop everything for your person. And I'm like, if I don't want to do it, I won't do it. But if you whipped or sprung, you will do it for her. And you should do it for yourself, even though, you know, it's for her. But if you drop everything else, that's whipped or sprung. And I feel like I don't have to do that. So, to his question or to his statement, it's false information. What's so crazy is that I used to believe in that. But if you haven't seen a relationship or heard of one, why would you believe it's possible? There's nobody out there talking about, 10,000 hours and working toward a relationship. Like that is the coldest journey that any two people could take on. Because if you could eclipse 10,000 hours, just imagine how many different conversations you wouldn't only learn your person, but you will become a better communicator, because you will learn what you sound like, what another person sound like, because you start to listen to other things. Some people was like, oh, it's only so much you can talk about. No, there's so many things you can talk about. Some people just choose not to talk about them. And that's one thing that I really enjoy about our relationship, because I like to talk about the things that's uncomfortable, even though I'm not the best person, because like sometimes my tone changes, and I sound really aggressive. And this was so cold about it. Like last week, she got me and she kind of told me what happened. Like my tone changed, and I was already ready to defend it. She was talking like, I don't want you, I want you to take this with love. And, sometimes I can just be like ready defensive, and I don't even know that I am. But she was able to walk me down and look at it. And you can't do that unless you put that work in with somebody. And that's what you want. You want somebody who can identify a weakness that you have that you don't even know when it's happening. And I told her I needed some guidance or some help to recognize those weaknesses I have in my communication, because I even have it with my students. I apologized to them recently too. Like I told, like specifically certain ones that I really have a short tolerance for their attention span. And I know that's unfair, but I have a relationship with them where, they know my expectation. I'm pushing you. I'm like, I'm your teacher. If I don't push you, are what kid is disciplined, is like, I got to push myself because my teacher's not pushing. My job is to push every one of my students. And sometimes my tone can sound like, I don't want to get help from a person who's going to talk to me like that. And I mean, they understood, and I told them I apologize, and I told them I'm really working on it, because I don't want, who wants to be talked to like that? And being a math teacher, it's already, you know, insecurities within math. And if you got a teacher that sounds like he gonna beat me up because I made a mistake, and that's not even everybody. There's just a few students that I have that, that like to ask for my help and don't be prepared. And when I say don't be prepared, I'm like, no paper and no pencil. And I told them, don't ask for help unless you got paper and pencil. So now I got them into the routine of it, but like they ain't even wrote the problem down. They got me going back there. Then I get them to read the problem. It was like, oh, I was like, how you come back? Anyways, the whole point is my wife, my relationship, the person that I don't believe I'm sprung or whipped on, was able to help me recognize a feeling that I had I couldn't identify that causes me to get really aggressive in my demeanor and like jerking or like real real aggressive like. And I'm like, and I told her I appreciate it because I'll be able to at one point figure out why I have that and what I can do to recognize when it's coming. Because at the end of the day, I just want to learn how to listen and observe. I only want to give information to people who ask for it, and I'll plant seeds any and everywhere I go. Whether they materialize into something, my intent is I come in peace, and she allowed me to find that. And I don't know if you can see it on my demeanor, but I'm not lying. I'm really not whipped or sprung, but I know that I've never loved a person more than I loved her because she had the patience for me to mature into the man that I'm becoming. And without that, I'm average. So with the work I put in on a daily basis, I want to become a better communicator with the intent of just listening and observing and hopefully only giving information to those who's looking for it. I don't want to become that person that says this is the way you should do it because there's a million ways you can do it. But I think people are looking for, you know, a easier way to adopt something that can help them grow without dealing with some poor habits they may carry. You know, poor habits are real. I do recommend this though. Just attack one, but you have to replace it with something so that you don't fall back into relapse because it's so easy when you don't have that. Like you've been doing it for so long, it's a habit because you've done it for so long. So you would have to replace it with something that you want to become better. And at one point, I'm telling you, it's going to be like a switch. Like you don't even remember it was even there. And I don't think I could have learned that without my wife. And I'm blessed to say the least. Like she's given me a more polished perspective when I approach any and everything. Although my demeanor, my body language doesn't reflect my peace, and people will take it in the wrong way. And I just have bad habits that I'm trying to remove. People say, like your natural actions say everything. They do. But if I've never dealt with this thing and it just causes this emotion where it comes out of my language and my body language, I'm a grown man now, and I'm still underdeveloped in certain areas because I haven't found peace on why I speak the way that I do when I get, I guess, defensive about something that I believe in, I guess. And instead of having a nice dialogue, it causes me to feel like I got to defend myself. And I couldn't have done that without her. And tell me that's an example of a successful marriage. And this has been a complete blessing to get to this point too. Like some of my students have found me on different social media platforms and they show mad love. And it's dope because imagine teaching math all day and you have students that don't mind listening to you in their free time. To me, that's awesome, And I'm trying to give the information, translate as much as I can, so that they can take any and everything they can and turn it into something that only they can come up with because they're gonna be that code. So I told them that they're my younger versions of me, and I'm trying to give them everything I can, like try to get rid of a lot of this horrible language that they use. When I was young, I cursed, but I did not curse in front of adults. I didn't want to do that. But these kids have, I guess they don't understand how important your presentation is now, of course, but the language is so foul. they apologize. I don't want to make it seem like, but they use it so often. It's almost like just second nature. And I'm like, golly, how do they not use this in front of their parents? Because they be on one. But regardless of any of that, shout out to you guys. You guys have been a complete blessing for me because this is by far the best year of my professional career in education. And I'm just seeing it exponentially grow because I think I found the routine as a math teacher that made them adopt some routine. And I told them, like, the more minutes you accumulate, the better you and more confident you become in math. And, I got them signing in on their phone, doing lessons on their phone, doing lessons on weekends, during breaks, anything helps. And at this age, if they develop a routine as early as this age, they're gonna be prepared to dominate the world at some point. But they have to believe that they're that important. And I think they will. So shout out to my students that's allowing me to become a better teacher because the successful marriage that I'm in, it allows me to go to school and just give these kids a better version of a math teacher. Y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA. Get after that action or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose.